Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to explore the similarities and differences between terms known as customer churn analysis, customer churn analytics, customer retention, and customer lifetime value. They all have customer in the name of the of the metric, but they're all sort of handled and executed slightly differently, and there's important differences to understand. So I'll underscore each of these as we go. So customer churn is mostly about retention or potentially losing a customer. The churn is losing. You're obviously trying to hold on to a customer. Any customer that you have now is worth more than going out to try to find a new customer, because it's going to take a marketing efforts. It's going to take sales efforts to go get new customers. So anybody that you're currently doing business with right now is very valuable to you. It's easier to keep that customer than to lose the customer. That's what we're going to see with customer churn and retention. The difference is slight, but it is important. Customer churn is really identifying and understanding why customers stopped doing business with your company and what motivated them to leave. Was it a competitor, or the prices were too high, or something changed with the business model, so the customer decided to take a walk and go somewhere else. So understanding the reasons behind customer attrition and identifying at-risk customers is very important, and then understanding any kind of strategies that you can employ to keep that customer. Like we just said, keeping a current customer is always easier than going to get a new one, right? Customer retention is focused a little bit more on keeping the customer engaged, satisfied, happy. Are they not happy with the current service that they're providing, or the product that they're receiving, or are they happy and they're going to stay, right? So understanding why customers leave. The goal is, again, retention. Like churn, you're trying to prevent churn, and there's some things we can employ to try to maintain the relationship with these existing customers. Loyalty programs, marketing campaigns, discounts, communication channels with the customer, things like this. And then understanding any kind of strategy that can reduce your churn rates. Okay, so there's definitely some overlap here, but it's a slightly different type of analysis. So I do not have customer related data, but I'm going to generate it dynamically. That's what this part of the Python script is for right here. So I'll run this so you can see how it plays out in real time. Okay, so we have a small data frame with customer IDs, the age, the years that the customer has been with the company, monthly spend, support tickets, and then churn as a binary feature. So it's either 1 churning or 0 not churning. They're staying with the business. So we want to try to turn these 1s into 0s and keep the 0s as there to keep the customers happy. Again, just creating this data dynamically because I don't have it. If you have your own customer data, you would just feed that into this model. But they don't have customer data, and any customer data that they would have would be confidential. All right, so this is just a generic example of how the technique works. So as we've seen in some other videos I've posted, we have the independent variables right here, the X variable, and then the Y variable is the churn. So we're going to run a classifier algorithm on this data set and feed in the independent X variables and the one single dependent Y variables. We do the training, testing, splitting over here. Test size is 30%. Training size is 70%. That's pretty normal. It could be 80-20, something like that. But you want to test on most of your data and have a holdout part of the data set, so the model doesn't see every single data point, because it's just going to memorize what it's seen. It's going to score 100%. It's really not learning anything at that point. You want to make sure that the model can make predictions on the unseen portion of the data set. That's the test size. Okay, so again, you always have like a training and a test part carved out. So here's the accuracy of the model, 0.88. So 88% of the time it's making accurate predictions. It's pretty decent. Closer to 100 is better. You want at least 70% to be statistically significant. So 88 is pretty decent. It might make some mistakes, but 88% of the time it's going to be correct. So what does this small matrix mean right here? Precision is the rate of correctly predicted positive observations over the total predicted positives. Okay, so 88% is pretty decent. Recall is the ratio of correctly predicted positive observations to the actual class. Okay, so the recall is 1% or 100%, so that's spot on. It's about as good as it gets. F1 score is the weighted average of precision and recall. Okay, so we have precision recall. F1 score is 0.94%. Okay, so it's being dragged down a little bit by this. Precision is a little bit under, but the recall is perfect, 100%. And the accuracy, which we see down here, accuracy is also 0.88. So pretty decent, close to 100%. That's the ratio of correctly predicted observations to the total observations. Okay, so we're getting some good results to the model. Pretty satisfied with that. Let's look at another example of churn analysis with a few more features added into this data set. We have the customer age, years with the company, support tickets, engagement score, product usage, and then we're trying to predict churn. So I'm going to run this in real time dynamically. Okay, just updated. Nice. So we're going to run another classifier. Now we have a few more features that we're adding in. Again, we have our independent variables here. Here's the single dependent y variable. Going ahead and running the model, and we see that the precision's a little bit lower this time, 0.5%. So the model didn't perform quite as well as the last one, but pretty decent. Recall is down a little bit. F1 score, similar to what we saw before. Both these are sort of dragging down the F1 score. That's 0.92, right? What was it before? 0.94. That's okay. So it's just a different model, different way of analyzing the data. Would probably go with the first model if the performance is slightly better. So we'd probably just pick the first model. Let's look at a couple ways to interpret what the model is doing. Some of these models tend to be black boxes, but there's two ways to expose what's really going on inside. So we have a line report and a SHAP report. These are great for interpreting machine learning models and understanding what the model is actually doing as it's doing the training and testing. So Lime generates a plot showing the impacts of the feature and how important each feature is. The first feature at the top is the most important, and the one at the bottom is the least important. So to understand why we are experiencing some churn with some of these clients, it really has to do with the engagement score. Mostly that's the primary driver. The product usage, spend, support tickets, age, and years with the company is actually the least important feature here. So you can have customers that have been with the company 1 or 2 years, or who knows how long, over 10 years. It really doesn't matter that much why the customers leave. It's really the engagement score, product usage, and monthly spend. These are the three primary indicators of why a customer is going to leave or not leave. So any kind of negative SHAP value indicates that that there is not going to be a churn, and positive values show that there's positive churn. Okay. And the global and local interpretations of SHAP are pretty interesting, because this is both global and locally. So you can see that the minute details and the larger macro details at the same time. With the Lime report, we're going to see in just a minute, it's not really like that. It's much more focused and isolated. And any kind of SHAP values are consistent with changes in the models. Again, showing feature importance. The top three we see here listed in ascending order: engagement, product usage, and monthly spend. So that's interesting to see those kind of insights. So after the SHAP report, we can run a Lime analysis and get the report from this. That's how we would do that. All the code is right here. I'm going to share all the code when I post this video, so you can simply copy and paste this and run it for yourselves. I'm doing this in a Jupyter notebook. I like these Jupyter notebooks because you get these very interesting interactive plots and charts that wouldn't be available in Spider. So it's just a different IDE for running your Python scripts. There's a few IDEs out there. They're all decent. They all have their pros and cons. I tend to like Jupyter notebooks just because it's more interactive, and with a lot of these charts, not this one specifically, but a lot of these, you can zoom in, zoom out, put the mouse over, and get the details of the data in the what's it called, in the bubble that pops up. Okay, so let's just move on and quickly look at the Lime report. This stands for Local Interpretable Model Agnostic Explanation. So that's very interesting. These two, SHAP and Lime, work on both classifying models and regression models. So they're really agnostic to the type of model that you're using, which is nice because it can interpret the meaning and the purpose of both types of models, right? Classifiers and regressors. Again, we're looking at feature importance for this Lime report and the contributions of each feature right here. So not churn, we see the probability of sticking with the company is about 87% and churning is about 13%. And again, we see the features and the values. So the product usage, support tickets, monthly spend, entertainment score, age, and years with the company, which is pretty much matching what we saw with the Lime report, right? I think so. Years with the company was last, age, support ticket, engagement score. Yeah, I think it is slightly different. Okay, so the analysis is being done slightly differently and the outcome is a little bit different. But clearly, years with the company is not a factor for clients that are churning. It really doesn't matter. It's like completely irrelevant in this case. So local versus global. This is what it means. Lime is primarily focused on local explanations, and SHAP is both local and global, right? So the overall macro sort of interactions between these features and the churn, which is the potential outcome. And the Lime will approximate models locally with a simpler approach, and SHAP is just a more complex, more robust way to analyze the model and to understanding what's going on under the hood. In summary, Lime is useful for quick interpretations and individual predictions, and SHAP is just more robust, probably more powerful, theoretically more evolved, I would say. Lime can do the job quickly and easily. It's just a sort of more primitive way of getting the job done. So let's move on to the customer retention. Here again, I'm dynamically generating the data set. I don't have this data at my fingertips, and any kind of client data would be probably classified, highly classified, so I couldn't share that anyways. But I think we do have a small and very relevant data set here. We're looking at purchase patterns for these clients, average purchase value, how many days ago was the last value. So we have some recency and primacy metrics here, and then customer satisfaction, like overall how satisfied were these customers, with lower numbers being less satisfied and higher numbers being more satisfied. So we're going to say, we're going to define some rules and say, if total purchase is less than 10, last purchase greater than 100, these guys are probably not super passionate about this company. Customer satisfaction less than 5, okay, these guys are not very satisfied. We're going to put them into one bucket, and if these rules are exceeded, right, if we exceed the threshold, then these customers are pretty satisfied. Okay, so based on that, we're going to create a retention strategy, and that's where this column comes from. And then here's the outcome. We have to call this customer and get some feedback. We have to call this customer or engage, send an email or something like that. And for these customers, now probably calling is going to be more of a hands-on, like a personal approach to contacting these customers. They're on the threshold of leaving and churning, and these other customers, we can simply send an email and say, thanks for being a loyal customer. We hope to see you again soon, right? So we don't have the personal touch with the email. With the callback, we do have that personal engagement, right? Let's look at one more scenario here. Now we're adding in a couple new features similar to what we saw just above this. Again, customer satisfaction, engagement score. And again, we're going to create a retention strategy based on the logic that we see here. How should we engage with these customers? Is it going to be a personal touch, or is it just going to be like a very non-intimate email? Do we need the intimacy to engage this customer, or can we just send a mass email to the group? So here we have offer a discount, call the customer, ask for feedback. How are we doing? How can we improve? The loyalty program, needs to be triggered for this customer, increased engagement for this customer, and then send re-engagement email. So probably, yeah, that matches over here. So customer satisfaction is pretty high. 10 is going to be the best. 1 is going to be the worst. So this customer is pretty satisfied. We can just send a blanket email and they're going to be happy with that. This guy down here, number 2, we have to offer this guy a discount or he's going to leave. So we're going to potentially mail him $100 rebates to use on any products for the store, right? For the retail outlet. So churn analysis focusing on understanding why customers leave. The why is probably the most important. If you can understand why something is happening, you can manage it better. If you understand what happens, that's important too, but that's relatively easier to understand what is happening. To understand the why, you really have to understand the person's psychology, and that's harder to do. But this type of analysis helps us understand that type of psychology of the customer, right? Customer retention focuses just on keeping the customer satisfied and engaged and coming back for more and more purchases, right? The time frame, looking at historical data to identify patterns and understand future purchase patterns. We understand what happens in past perfect. We're trying to make predictions into the future. And retention is more like preventing customers from leaving, right? So it's not just a simple historical analysis. It's trying to say, how can we keep this guy coming back again and again, right? How can we keep them satisfied? And the approach for the churn type of analysis is identifying at-risk customers and taking care of them. So again, sending a rebate, some type of not a rebate, some type of like coupon that the customer can use, right, to re-engage that individual. And then with churn retention, it's more like enhancing the loyalty of that customer, right? Sure, make sure that they're brand loyal. And then one more point to underscore here is measuring the customer lifetime value at risk and reason for the churn. So again, the why, we're trying to look at why customers leave, and the customer retention is just trying to create a satisfied customer, make them happy, and keep that person happy. So that's it. I have some more notes down here. I'm going to post all of this when I post this video, so you'll have all the code. You can copy and paste it and run it. It's going to run just fine on your machine, on your side. Unless you don't have one of these libraries installed, and then you would get a message popping up saying, okay, you're missing a certain library that's required to run the code. That's the only thing that could trip this up. And then you just have to do a pip install of the library's name, and you'll be up and running in no time. So now let's move on to customer lifetime value. This is a different type of analysis producing a slightly different metric. Here we're going to, again, create the data set. I don't have customer data that I can just broadcast here on the internet, right? So we're just going to create a sample data set, but it's pretty realistic. Customer ID, purchase amount, and purchase date. So we know when was the last time this customer was making a purchase from our establishment. Okay. So with these details, we can create some new features. This is called feature engineering. We just have basically the ID of the customer and just 2 features. It's not a whole lot, but from these 2, we can create more features that are going to help us with this analysis overall. So we have total purchase amount, transaction count, first purchase and last purchase. So if there's a very recent purchase, the customer is probably satisfied. If the last purchase was over a year ago, for instance, the customer is probably not super interested in coming to our enterprise and doing business here. So that's important to know. Purchase frequency is the guy coming every day, once a week, once a month, once a year. That's useful to know. And then based on all these factors, we're going to derive a customer lifetime value. That's what CLV is, customer lifetime value. So we just started with the very basic data set, purchase amount, purchase date over here. We did some feature engineering and got several new features added to the data frame here. So total purchase amount, transaction count, that's how many transactions the customer has made. So we're just counting all the times that they made a purchase with us. Purchase frequency, customer value, and then we get to customer lifetime value. This is the metric that we're deriving over here. Okay, and then we can get the top 10 customers based on customer lifetime value, and then the bottom 10. So the top, the top 10 are going to be here. So the higher the better, right? 80.83. This probably goes up to 10,000. This guy over here is just like 3,620, but still in the top 10. This one down here is 409 out of 10,000. So that's the least valuable customer, and this is like the bottom 10, 1,113. But this guy right here, super loyal, comes to the store all the time, spends a lot of money, shops quite a bit. Although he's probably a large ticket kind of person because they only have 9 transactions. This one down here has 19, but he's probably spending a lot more money. Total purchase amount 2,597, and this one down here is a little bit lower, 2,035. So this guy is spending less but more transactions. This one over here has fewer transactions but actually spending more money. And then this is pretty intuitive down here. This guy has only shopped with us 4 times and only spent $159. So clearly like the least valuable customer to take care of. And this one right here, the first one, this is all sorted in rank order based on CLV. This one is definitely the #1 most loyal customer. So that's it. Customer churn analysis, customer retention, customer lifetime value. I just made up the data, but you could copy and paste this code, run it on your actual data, and get some very interesting results and see which customers are creating the most value for your establishment, and then taking care of those customers appropriately. Okay, that's it. That's it for now. I'm gonna have more videos coming out. This is about, I think, number 7. I'm up to 7 now. I have about 80 topics I'm going to talk about in the entire world of data science, machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, business intelligence. There's several topics I'm going to cover, and just try to come up with interesting real world problems and then actual solutions for those problems. I'm not so interested in theoretical or hypothetical types of things, but I'm very interested in understanding real world problems and coming up with very interesting, very innovative solutions to solve those problems. So yeah, I think this is video number 7. I'm going to have at least 80 total. So keep an eye out for more videos coming up soon. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.